incredible journey through sacred history. You will have 10 seconds for each answer. Keep track of your score and see if you can reach the promised land. Let us begin. Question 1. Moses was born into which of the 12 tribes of Israel during the time of their slavery? Think quickly. Time is now starting. The correct answer is the tribe of Levi. Question 2. Who was the person who discovered baby Moses floating in the Nile and decided to adopt him as her own son in the palace? It was Pharaoh's daughter. Question 3. Why did Moses flee from Egypt to the land of Midian after living for 40 years in the house of the powerful Pharaoh? He fled because he had killed an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew slave. Question 4. In what miraculous form did the Lord first appear to Moses while he was tending sheep near the base of Mount Horeb? The Lord appeared in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. Question 5. What was the specific name that God used to identify himself to Moses from within the miracle of the holy burning bush? God said, "I am who I am." Question 6. What was the first miracle God performed for Moses to prove his power, involving the shepherd's staff that Moses held in his hand? The staff turned into a serpent. Question 7. Because Moses was slow of speech, whom did God appoint to be his spokesperson and helper during the mission to see Pharaoh? The helper was Aaron, his older brother. Question 8. What was the initial message Moses gave to Pharaoh? And he requested that the people go into the wilderness for how many days? Moses asked for a 3-day journey. Question 9. What was the very first plague that God brought upon the land of Egypt and Pharaoh? The first plague was turning the water of the Nile into blood. Question 10. After the blood, what animals swarmed the land, entering houses, bedrooms, and even the beds of the Egyptian people and their king? The second plague was the frogs. Question 11. When the dust of the earth was struck by the rod, it became what pest that afflicted both man and beast throughout Egypt? The dust became gnats or lice. Question 12. Which plague involved a great east wind that brought swarms of insects to eat every green plant and fruit left in Egypt? That was the plague of locusts. Question 13. How many days did the thick darkness last over the land of Egypt, a darkness so intense that people could not see? The darkness lasted for 3 days. Question 14. What was the final and most terrible 10th plague that finally forced Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave his land forever? The final plague was the death of the firstborn. From the son of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the cattle, every eldest male died. Question 15. The annual Jewish festival that commemorates this night when the angel of death passed over their homes is known by what name? The festival is called Passover. Question 16. Approximately how many men, besides women and children, left Egypt during the Great Exodus journey? The Bible records about 600,000 men. Including families, the total number was likely over 2 million people walking toward their new home. Question 17. When the Egyptian army trapped the people against the water, which sea did God divide to create a dry path for them? It was the Red Sea, also known as the Sea of Reeds. Question 18. What happened to Pharaoh's chariots and his entire army when they tried to follow the Israelites through the divided sea path? The waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen. The entire army of Pharaoh was drowned, and not one of them survived the event. Question 19. Who was the prophetess, the sister of Moses and Aaron, who led the women in song and dance after the victory? That was Miriam. Question 20. At Marah, the people could not drink the water because it was bitter. How did God make the water sweet for them? The Lord showed Moses a specific log or tree. When Moses threw it into the bitter water, the water miraculously became sweet and drinkable. Question 21. What was the name of the mysterious bread from heaven that God provided for the Israelites every morning in the desert? The bread was called manna. Question 22. When there was no water at Rephidim, what did Moses strike with his staff to bring forth water for the thirsty people? Moses struck a rock at Horeb. Question 23. During the battle against the Amalekites, who were the 2 men who held up Moses' weary arms to ensure Israel's victory? Aaron and Hur held his hands steady until sunset. Question 24. On which holy mountain did God give Moses the 10 Commandments? God gave the commandments on Mount Sinai. This was the place where the Lord made a covenant with the people to be their God. Question 25. How many days and nights did Moses stay on the summit of Mount Sinai to receive the laws and the tablets? Moses was there for 40 days and 40 nights. Question 26. According to the book of Exodus, who actually wrote the words of the law onto the first 2 stone tablets of testimony? The tablets were written with the finger of God. Question 27. While Moses was away on the mountain, what idol did the people pressure Aaron into making from their gold jewelry? They made a golden calf. Question 28. What was Moses' immediate reaction when he saw the people dancing around the idol? What did he do to the tablets? He smashed the tablets at the foot of the mountain. Question 29. After speaking with God, Moses' face shone so brightly that he had to cover it with what item when talking? He wore a veil. Question 30. Who was the courageous leader chosen to succeed Moses and lead the Israelites into the Promised Land? The successor was Joshua, the son of Nun. Moses saw the land from Mount Nebo, but died before he could cross the Jordan River. How many did you get right? Comment your score below and subscribe for more biblical challenges. Until next time, may your journey continue.